What's up, guys? Okay, today I want to talk about what I would propose comes from Raids 3 and next. I know a lot of people are unhappy with current Masori armor and the Virtus mage armor that's coming from next. And yeah, I think I have a good proposal that I would like to see, especially after talking to Lucid Dream. Lucid Dream brought up some great suggestions from other people that he's heard as well as his own. If you haven't listened to that podcast, I would highly recommend it if you're interested in Raids 3 and next coming out. That we halfway through the podcast. I know it's not time stamped right now, but about halfway in, we start talking about that a lot and suggestions that we would like to see. So I just want to say my ideas, say my piece, basically, and I want to hear your guys' comments. I'm going to try to be brief with this. I don't want to, I don't want to drag this on for too long. So currently, Masori armor is very weak. It's similar to like adamant armor defensively. Although I will say, like the defensive stats of this is actually not terrible in relation to Armadillo. So I have the Armadillo page pulled up. So this is Arma right now, and like if you look at the defensive bonuses, I mean, yeah, they're significantly higher, but they're not like crazy. Maybe they are. Maybe I was looking at the chain skirt in relation to the. Yeah, like I don't know. Like look at the Masori chain skirt, like 26, 24, 29, 32, 26, 34. Like yeah, it's not that big of a difference. The chest plate's a little bit more significant. What I am proposing, and again, this is like a mixture of ideas and things I've thought about a lot today as well. I've been kind of sleeping on this stuff, kind of thinking of like what would be the most optimal and for me, I guess, my idea of what a Raids 3 armor should look like. So I'll just tell you my suggestion. It doesn't need to be called Masori. It still can be. I don't know if Masori has some lore to it saying it's low defense, cloth armor. But what I want is a new ranged armor that is just the new Armadillo, basically. Now I'm gonna tell you the stats of what I'd like to see. So, I really like currently that there's 0 negatives on the. Let me move my monitor a little bit. There's 0 negatives on all the pieces of armor, which is essential. Part of the reason I'll kind of briefly bring this up. I really dislike, and I mentioned it in the podcast. I really dislike that Carol's top, and even the Carol's bottom are still best in slot for mage defense when using, melee. Like the fact that those came out in 2005 and they're from Barrows and they're still best in slot is very silly to me. And you guys have probably heard of that a lot from me. So what I would suggest is with this new ranged armor, whether they call it Masori or not, there is no low life. Scrap the low life completely. And I want it to have the same range bonuses. In fact, they could increase a little bit. I'm not too bothered by the accuracy bonuses. So accuracy of these like 33, 20, and 10. This is 33, 20, and 10. So it's fine to keep this, Now, this is the thing I want to talk on. So we're scrapping the low life. I want the range strength bonuses to always be applied, regardless of low life or not, to be +3 here for the chest plate, +2 for the chain skirt, and +1 for the helmet. So similar to what it already is, except the chest plate would be +3 instead of +4. So it would give +6 over Armadillo, which is pretty significant, but but I think that's justified for being a Raids 3 armor, and it should be very rare, should be very expensive, and should be very difficult to get. Now, I'm not really torn on the dodge chance. I think the dodge chance is, that could still be a cool feature to it. I don't think it's necessary. Now, I'm neither opposed nor for that. So one thing I do want to say, though, is that this new armor will not have any prayer bonus. I think that is key to this. I know people want everything to be best in slot about it. Like every single stat is better than Armadillo. I think having no negatives is very essential. I think having 0 prayer come from it is essential as well to make it so it's not just outclassing every single aspect of the previous best in slot. And then I want the defensive bonuses to excel in magic defense. So if we look at Armadillo currently, mage defense is very high, plus 70 for the chest plate, plus 40 for the chain skirt, plus 10 for the Armadillo helm. We're seeing here it's plus 25, 19, and 6. So I am suggesting a super high mage defense. I am suggesting for the chest plate to be plus 85 or even plus 90. So I want to see a huge buff, like a 20% buff in mage defense. For the Armadillo helmet, I know, well, Armadillo helmet's plus 10 for mage defense. I would love to see that like a plus 16, 18, maybe even 20. I think the crystal helm is plus 20. So I actually want it to be better than a crystal helm. I think the crystal helm's a little bit out of place in relation to the crystal body and legs. I'm not positive on what their stats are, but I want this to excel in mage defense. And chain skirt, if that's plus 40 currently on like the Armadillo chain skirt, I want the Masori chain skirt to be like plus 52 maybe. But then the defensive, like the melee defense and the range defense can actually stay relatively low. In fact, I'd be fine with them even keeping what they currently have for Masori, for melee and for the range defense. I think that's totally fine to be pretty low. I think that's acceptable. So we could keep, Armadillo would have the prayer bonus over it. It would have melee defense and range defense over it, but those aren't very essential. And that is what I'm suggesting for this. Now, the Masori amulet. Whatever the amulet that comes out, whatever it's called, I don't really care. If it's Masori, that's cool. This is what Lucid Dream brought up to me. See, I can't remember who suggested it to him, but he saw it in a Discord message about, instead of low life, bringing a new effect that would be similar to a recoil damaging you when you hit. So what I would love to see is we can keep it the exact same stats as an Anguish. So it'd be plus 10 range. I believe that's an Anguish. Actually, I could be mistaken on that. Let me just quickly fucking check so I'm not incorrect about this. Okay, so it's plus 15. So they could keep the same stats. So plus 15 is what the Anguish currently is in a plus 5 range strength. That is what I want to see the Masori. Plus 15 range accuracy, plus 5 range strength, 0 prayer. I want 0 prayer bonus. I want it to have a slight downside to it. So it's not just all of a sudden Anguish is outclassed in every possible way. But this amulet will have an effect. So, and the reason I want it to be the exact same as an Anguish is because I don't want the Anguish. I don't want this new amulet to just be used everywhere over it. But the new effect would be this recoil effect that Lucid and I were talking about. Of it has, and again, these can be worked out for balance's sake, but let's just keep it easy and say you have a 10% chance of hitting whatever your range hit is, whatever your next range hit is, you have a 10% chance of that hit dealing 15% extra damage. But when that procs, you get damage like a recoil. And the recoil, usually recoils are 10%. This could even be 15%. It could damage you 15%. I think that would be a little bit more punishing, but it would also be very rewarding to have all of a sudden all of your 10 hits are hitting 15% higher because of this amulet. Again, there could be some balance to it. It could be 5% instead of 10. I'm just keeping it relatively simple. Where it's every 10 shots of range, whatever weapon you're using, every 10 hits, it'll have a chance, it's a 1 in 10 chance to hit 15% extra total damage of whatever your hit was going to be. It's going to do 15% more than that. Very, very powerful amulet. I know that sounds very, very OP. But it has the effect of whenever it procs, it's going to hit you. So it's similar to like a ruby. So this amulet's basically like a ruby amulet, like a ruby bolt amulet, basically. So I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. Basically, I want to keep it somewhat brief. There's obviously a lot of balance to it. I think the dodge mechanic is really cool. I still like this, but I think it could be brought to a different piece of armor rather than this. So basically, as an overview, this new armor would be the exact same. Range accuracy as Armadillo. It would have plus 3 range strength for chest plate, plus 2 range strength for chain skirt, and plus 1 for the helmet at all times. So we're scrapping low life completely. Zero prayer on all of these items. Zero prayer bonus. That needs to be a thing because it already is extremely fucking powerful in OP. And yeah, by the way, the Masori amulet doesn't have to be utilized with this armor. It can just be utilized with anything, any range, or it can be used with anything, obviously, but you'd only get the effect if you're shooting something with range. Anyway, my thoughts on this. I want to briefly now just cover what I think from the next rewards. I think the next rewards are fucking fantastic. The bow is cool. The God Sword fits really well. I think the God Sword's great. I think it's a great addition. I think it has great use. It's not overpowering any other weapon. It's just it's solid. The Zarite bow is fucking cool. I was doing the beta yesterday. It's just so cool, and it's so powerful. I think it's great. And I was watching Cbet doing his Inferno speedrun this morning, just doing a bunch of. Oh, wait, did I say yesterday I was doing the beta? It must have been this morning. I slept in the afternoons. I'm forgetting which days or which, but I guess technically it was yesterday. It's past midnight. But anyway, I was watching Cbet, and it looks as though... So I was under the assumption that the bow shoots any target which is, 2 tiles away from its true tile, the southwest corner of a monster. But he was hitting 2 snakes, those little snakes in the Inferno. There was 2 of them right next to each other, and those are 3 tiles apart. And when he was shooting one of them, it was actually hitting the other. So I don't know what the hell it is. I don't know if it's within 2 tiles of their just outline. It was really cool, though. I thought it was all going to be based on the southwest tile, but apparently not. I don't know if they're going to fix that. I don't know if that was the intention of it. Zarite bow is fucking cool. So cool. So powerful. It's going to be so expensive. It's awesome. The Vambrace is great addition. The range, it's going to... I like how we're kind of moving toward melee scape a little bit. It's totally back to range scape. I know the Bofa kind of brought back range scape again, and it's back to range scape with all this new shit that we're going to be hitting fucking massive with all the new armor and stuff. Virtus, however, I think Virtus needs to be scrapped. I think this is my own opinion. I think Ancestral needs to stay best in slot in every way, at least for the next couple of years. It can be replaced later down the line, but I really feel like replacing something from Raids 1 already is... And I know it's not fully replacing it. I just think it's silly to have like 2 different niches. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. I'm not completely opposed to this, but I think what would be better is to let Torva pretty much take its place. So my suggestion is to bring out Torva. I'll just briefly, let me just go here. Bandos armor. Okay, so I'm just going to base it off of these stats. So I want Torva, and I know Torva is going to have a helmet and not boots. So let me just compare these two. I guess the helmet can be whatever. I want... Pretty much what I want is a direct upgrade to Bandos. And I think plus 6 strength for the chest plate would be very good. And I think plus 4 for the legs would be cool. And then the helmet, whatever comes out for the Torva helmet, or again, I never played back when Torva was a thing, so I don't know all the effects of Torva. I know there was an HP boost and everything. I just think what would be cool is keep it simple. Plus 6, plus 4. It could have... Honestly, it could have slightly higher defensive bonuses. I'm not really... I think a direct upgrade to Bandos is cool. Bandos has been out for a long-ass time. It never came from a raid. It's pretty mid-level content now to grind out Bandos. And I think a new difficult piece of content that's way more hours put in to get it is fine. I do, however, think you should be sacrificing Bandos to get Torva. I think the sacrificial part of it is essential. Either infuse it into it or sacrifice it. However it goes, it needs to be deleted from the game, is my suggestion. Prayer bonus can be kept at 1. The range strength, again, so I think the helmet would be cool to be like plus... I don't know. I'm torn between just keeping it at plus 6 strength as the same as the the Nate is not face guard, or increase it to +7. I think it would. I think I'd actually prefer it to be +7, and then because right now the Nate is not face guard, it has a +3 prayer bonus. I think Torva should just have a +1. So there is kind of a little bit of a reason to keep the Nate is not face guard, and it comes from mid-level content. It comes from a Slayer creature. I think a Torva helmet being +7 with only +1 prayer would be cool. I don't think it should offer any accuracy bonuses. I think that should keep the same. And I also think the defensive bonuses should just be slightly buffed, potentially. I don't think there should be any set effect either. I don't think there should be any like accuracy or melee strength passive effect if you're wearing the set. Not really a big fan of set effects. So, yeah, I think they should replace Virtus with that. And, however, people would say, oh, this is going to devalue Inquisitors as well as Bandos. Inquisitors needs a buff. It's the last point I'm going to touch on is Inquisitors needs a buff. Currently, Inquisitors, just look at it real quick. So Inquisitors is offering great crush accuracy. First of all, this needs to be changed. So it's +12 for the skirt and the halberd, and only 8 for the helm. Inquisitor's halberd needs to be buffed to 16 accuracy. I think that is essential. Regardless if Torva comes out, I think this should not be the same as this. This should be 12. This should be 16. That's a little upgrade. It's not huge. The other thing that needs to happen is the set effect. So there's a set effect that gives 0.5 extra damage and accuracy when using one piece. And then if all 3 pieces are worn, it has a total of 2.5%. This needs to be buffed. My suggestion is a 1.2% per piece. Or, sorry, a 1.25. So if you're wearing 2 pieces, it's 2.5. And then if you're wearing the full set, it would make it so it's 5% accuracy and damage bonus. So that is my suggestion. The reason it's a good... I'm going to tell you why it's a good suggestion, at least in my opinion. Currently, this 0.5% accuracy and damage, it will never, and I repeat, never, if you're wearing 1 or 2 pieces, you will never get a max hit because of this damage boost. It will never do anything. If you're not getting a max hit, it is not doing anything to DPS. The accuracy, yeah, it's doing very, very little. It's doing very, very little. But this 0.5% damage does virtually nothing if you're wearing 1 or 2 pieces. You have to wear the full set because the 2.5 is making it so that anything that can attack a 40 or higher is getting the buff from it. When you're getting a 1% bonus for wearing 2 pieces, you have to have a max hit of 100. No weapon in the game besides Darox can do that. And you have to be wearing Darox. You can't be wearing Inquisitors with that. Like, there's no weapon in the game that would ever give you a max hit because there's no weapon in the game that's hitting 100 or higher. So this whole fucking thing is an illusion. This whole damage buff is an illusion, and people don't understand it. A lot of people don't. Some people do. This needs to be buffed to 1.25 per piece. So it'd be a 2.5 for 2 pieces worn, and then it would be a 5% for the whole set being worn. I think that is essential, especially if Torva is going to come out. If Torva is going to come out being the best in slot, I know Inquisitors people could argue it still has a place because it can, it has accuracy over everything else. But the fact that you're losing max hits to it's going to just get devalued extremely. So I know I kind of had a little rant on that. I just needed to explain that this needs to be fucking buffed. It's so sad that a ham joint will never... If you're wearing a full set, by the way, a ham joint will never get a max hit. This 2.5% makes it so any weapon that attacks 40 or higher gets a max hit. Ham joint can never hit a 40 or higher. It hits like a 30. So if it had the 5%, a ham joint would actually have an effect by this. So anyway, little rant on that. These are kind of my thoughts. Scrap Virtus. I could talk about these other things as well, but I'll just keep it to these armor pieces. Going back to, Where is it? Going back to this, Masori, again, you already heard. You can go back in the video. I think we need to scrap low life. Anyway. I know I've already been... I plan to make this 10 minutes. It's 20 minutes. Anyway. I will leave it pretty much there. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I really want to hear them. There is a little bit of balance going into it. What I said about the set effects of the Masori amulet especially. Let me know what you guys think. What are your guys' suggestions? And yeah, put it in the comments. I want to hear it. Peace.